When paramedic Marcus Rivera throws himself into traffic to save a blind stranger, he expects nothing in return. But Isabella Hartley, the millionaire heiress he rescued, offers him something that could change everything: a job, a home, and possibly the love he never thought he'd find again. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The sound of squealing tires and shattering glass filled the quiet evening air as Marcus Rivera threw himself forward, his arms wrapping protectively around the woman who had been crossing the street with her white cane. The black SUV that had been speeding toward them struck Marcus's left side, sending him crashing to the pavement as the woman he'd saved rolled safely onto the sidewalk. "Are you hurt?" Marcus gasped, ignoring the burning pain in his ribs and the blood seeping from cuts on his arms. He crawled toward the woman, whose designer sunglasses had been knocked off, revealing beautiful but unseeing hazel eyes. Isabella Hartley sat on the sidewalk, her usually perfect appearance disheveled, her long dark hair scattered around her shoulders. Her hands shook as she felt around for her white cane. I can't find my cane. Where's my cane?" Marcus spotted the white cane several feet away, bent and broken. "It's damaged, but don't worry. You're safe now." He placed the broken pieces in her hands, then winced as pain shot through his side. "You're bleeding," Isabella said, her voice filled with panic as she reached toward the sound of his labored breathing. Her fingers found his shirt, wet with blood. "Oh God, you're really hurt." "It's okay," Marcus said, though he was starting to feel dizzy. "The important thing is that you're safe." Isabella's hands found his face, her fingers gentle as they traced his features with the practiced touch of someone who sees with her hands. "You saved my life. Why would you do that for a stranger?" Marcus looked at her beautiful face, seeing not blindness but strength and vulnerability mixed together. "Because it was the right thing to do." Sirens wailed in the distance as concerned bystanders called for help. Isabella kept her hands on Marcus's shoulders, as if she could keep him conscious through touch alone. "What's your name?" she asked softly. "Marcus Rivera." "I'm Isabella Hartley. And I owe you my life." Marcus tried to stay focused on her voice as paramedics rushed toward them. "You don't owe me anything." "Yes, I do," Isabella said firmly, her unseeing eyes filling with tears. "More than you'll ever know." At the hospital, while Marcus was being treated for 3 broken ribs and multiple lacerations, Isabella sat in the waiting room with her assistant, Patricia, who had rushed over as soon as she heard about the accident. "The doctors say he's going to be fine," Patricia said, reading from her phone. "No internal bleeding, just some broken ribs and cuts that needed stitches." Isabella nodded, but her hands were still shaking. "Patricia, find out everything you can about Marcus Rivera. Where he lives, what he does, if he has family. I want to help him." "Isabella, you can't save every person who helps you." "This is different," Isabella interrupted. He didn't hesitate for even a second. "He saw that car coming and threw himself into harm's way to protect me. When was the last time anyone did something like that without wanting something in return?" Patricia was quiet. She had worked for Isabella for 5 years and had seen how the millionaire's blindness and wealth made her a target for people who either pitied her or wanted to use her. Genuine kindness was rare in Isabella's world. "I'll make some calls," Patricia said gently. An hour later, Patricia returned with a folder full of information. "Marcus Rivera, age 32, works as a paramedic for the city. He's a single father to a 9-year-old daughter named Lily. His wife died in a car accident 4 years ago." Isabella's heart clenched. "A single father?" "Yes. He works double shifts to support his daughter. They live in a small apartment downtown. His daughter goes to Roosevelt Elementary." Isabella was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. Here was a man who had risked his life to save a stranger, despite having a child who needed him. "I want to meet his daughter." "Isabella?" "No, Patricia. This man has a little girl who could have lost her father tonight because he saved me. The least I can do is make sure they're both taken care of." The next morning, Isabella insisted on visiting Marcus in the hospital despite Patricia's concerns about her safety following what appeared to be an attempted hit and run. "Mr. Rivera?" Isabella's voice was soft as she entered his hospital room, using her white cane to navigate carefully. Marcus looked up from the breakfast he was picking at with little appetite. "Miss Hartley? You shouldn't be here. You should be resting." "I'm fine, thanks to you." Isabella found the chair next to his bed and sat down. "I wanted to check on you and to say thank you properly." Marcus studied her face, noting how different she looked in the morning light. Without the terror and chaos of the accident, he could see her true beauty. She was elegant and refined, but there was something vulnerable about the way she held herself. "You already thanked me," Marcus said. "Really, it was nothing special." "Nothing special?" Isabella's voice rose slightly. "You risked your life for someone you'd never met. You have a daughter who needs you, yet you didn't hesitate to put yourself in danger to protect me." Marcus was surprised. "How do you know about Lily?" Isabella felt heat rise in her cheeks. "I may have asked my assistant to do some research. I wanted to understand who I was dealing with." "And what did you find out?" "That you're a paramedic who works extra shifts to support your daughter. That you lost your wife 4 years ago. That you're probably struggling financially but would never ask for help." Marcus felt uncomfortable under her scrutiny. "Miss Hartley, I appreciate your concern, but Lily and I are doing fine." "Are you?" Isabella asked gently. "Because I know what it's like to put on a brave face and pretend everything is okay when it's not." Something in her tone made Marcus look at her more carefully. "What do you mean?" Isabella was quiet for a moment, her fingers tracing the handle of her white cane. "I wasn't born blind. I lost my sight in the same car accident that killed my parents when I was 16. I inherited everything, the money, the business, the responsibility. But I also inherited the loneliness that comes with people never knowing whether they like you or your bank account." Marcus felt his heart soften. "I'm sorry. That must have been incredibly difficult. The point is, I know what it's like to be alone and struggling even when you have resources. I know what it's like to be proud and independent. But I also know that sometimes we all need help." Before Marcus could respond, a small voice came from the doorway. "Daddy?" Both adults turned to see a little girl with dark curls and worried brown eyes standing in the doorway, holding the hand of an elderly woman. "Lily." Marcus's face lit up despite his pain. "Come here, sweetheart." Lily ran to her father's bedside, careful not to bump his injuries. "Mrs. Rodriguez said you got hurt helping someone. Are you okay?" "I'm fine, princess. Just a little sore." Marcus smoothed his daughter's hair. "This is Miss Hartley, the lady I helped." Lily looked at Isabella with curious eyes, noticing the white cane. "Are you blind?" "Lily," Marcus said quickly, "that's not polite." "It's okay," Isabella said with a smile. "Yes, I am blind. That's why your daddy had to help me. I couldn't see the car coming." Lily stepped closer to Isabella, studying her with the frank curiosity of a child. "Does it hurt, being blind?" Isabella considered the question seriously. "Sometimes, but not the way you might think. It hurts more when people treat me differently because of it." "Daddy always says we should treat everyone the same," Lily said. "He says what matters is what's in people's hearts, not what they look like." Isabella felt her throat tighten with emotion. "Your daddy sounds like a very wise man." Mrs. Rodriguez, who had been standing quietly in the doorway, cleared her throat. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but Lily needs to get to school." "Of course," Marcus said. "Lily, give Daddy a kiss and go with Mrs. Rodriguez." As Lily hugged her father carefully, Isabella made a decision that would change all their lives. "Wait," she said. "Lily, would you like to come visit me sometime? I have a big house with a garden and I think you might like to see it." Lily looked at her father uncertainly. "Can I, Daddy?" Marcus felt torn. He didn't want to accept charity, but he could see the genuine warmth in Isabella's invitation. "We'll see, princess." After Lily and Mrs. Rodriguez left, Isabella turned back to Marcus. "I have a proposition for you." Marcus felt wary. "What kind of proposition?" "I need a live-in security consultant. Someone to help me navigate situations where my blindness might put me in danger. Someone I can trust completely." Marcus stared at her. "Miss Hartley, I'm a paramedic, not a security expert. You saved my life last night. That tells me you have good instincts and quick reflexes. More importantly, it tells me you're someone who puts others' safety before your own. I appreciate the offer, but before you say no, hear me out. The job comes with a very generous salary, full benefits, and a guest house on my property where you and Lily could live. She'd be in a better school district, have a safe place to play, and you'd be there to pick her up from school every day instead of working double shifts." Marcus felt his chest tighten. It sounded too good to be true. "Why are you doing this?" Isabella was quiet for a long moment. "Because last night, for the first time in 16 years, someone saw me as a person worth saving rather than a blind woman who needed pity. You didn't even know who I was or what I was worth, but you risked everything to protect me. Anyone would have done the same thing." "No, Marcus. They wouldn't have. I've been testing that theory for years." Isabella's voice was soft but firm. I need someone around me who sees me as Isabella first, blind woman second, and millionaire last. I think you might be that person. That afternoon, against his doctor's protests, Marcus checked himself out of the hospital. Isabella's driver took him home to his small apartment, where he found Lily doing homework at their tiny kitchen table. "Daddy?" Lily jumped up to hug him gently. "You're home." "I'm home, princess." Marcus looked around their modest apartment with its second-hand furniture and peeling paint. He loved their little home, but he couldn't deny that Isabella's offer would give Lily opportunities he could never provide on his own. "Daddy, I like the nice lady. She smells like flowers and she has kind hands." "Kind hands?" "When she touched my face to see what I looked like, her hands were gentle. Like Mama's used to be." Marcus felt his heart clench. Lily rarely mentioned her mother anymore, afraid it made him sad. "Did she touch your face?" Lily nodded. "She said blind people see with their hands and she wanted to see what I looked like so she could picture me when she thinks about me." Marcus was touched by Isabella's thoughtfulness. "What did you think about that?" "I thought it was cool. And Daddy, she has the biggest house I've ever seen." Mrs. Rodriguez drove past it on the way home from the hospital. "It has a garden and everything." That evening, after Lily was asleep, Marcus sat on his small balcony thinking about Isabella's offer. His daughter deserved better than this tiny apartment and the uncertainty of his unpredictable work schedule. She deserved stability, good schools, and a father who wasn't exhausted from working 2 jobs. But accepting Isabella's offer felt like admitting he couldn't take care of his own daughter. His pride warred with his practical mind as he weighed the options. The next morning, Marcus called Isabella. "I'll take the job," he said simply. "Really?" Isabella's voice was filled with relief and happiness. "What made you decide?" Marcus looked at Lily eating cereal at their kitchen table, her school uniform already showing signs of wear. "My daughter deserves the best life I can give her. If working for you means I can provide that, then my pride can take a back seat. This isn't charity, Marcus. I genuinely need someone I can trust, and you've already proven I can trust you with my life." 2 weeks later, Marcus and Lily moved into the guest house on Isabella's estate. The small cottage was bigger than their old apartment and beautifully furnished. Lily had her own room with a canopy bed and a window that looked out over Isabella's garden. "Daddy, it's like a fairy tale," Lily said as she explored her new room. Marcus had to admit it felt surreal. The main house was a mansion with more rooms than he could count, but Isabella lived simply, using only a few rooms and navigating by memory and the help of her longtime housekeeper, Maria. "Mr. Rivera?" Maria knocked on the door of the guest house that first evening. "Ms. Isabella would like to invite you and Lily for dinner, if you're available." Marcus looked at Lily, who was already nodding eagerly. "We'd be honored." Dinner at Isabella's was a revelation. Despite her wealth, she had prepared a simple meal herself, navigating her kitchen with practiced ease. She had set the table with care, and had even made Lily's favorite food, spaghetti and meatballs, after asking Marcus what his daughter enjoyed. "This is delicious," Marcus said, watching as Isabella ate with careful, precise movements. "Cooking helps me feel normal," Isabella explained. "It's one area where being blind doesn't really matter. Food tastes the same regardless." Lily was fascinated by how Isabella managed everyday tasks. "How do you know which fork to use?" "I set the table myself so I know where everything is. And I count. Salad fork is on the outside, dinner fork next to the plate." "Can you teach me how to do things with my eyes closed?" Lily asked excitedly. Isabella smiled. "Would you like that?" "Yes. It would be like a superpower." Over the following weeks, Marcus settled into his new role. His job involved accompanying Isabella to business meetings, helping her navigate unfamiliar places and ensuring her safety in public. But more than that, he became her eyes in situations where sight was essential. "The man across the table keeps checking his phone," Marcus would whisper during business meetings. "He seems distracted." "The woman in the blue dress has been watching you for 10 minutes, he'd tell her at social events. "She's approaching from your left." Isabella came to rely on his observations, but more importantly, she came to value his company. Marcus treated her like a capable, intelligent woman who happened to be blind, not like a fragile invalid who needed constant protection. "You know what I love about you?" Isabella said one evening as they walked through her garden, Lily running ahead of them chasing fireflies. "What's that?" Marcus asked, watching his daughter's joy with a smile. "You never grab my arm to guide me without asking first. You don't speak louder because I'm blind. You don't treat me like I'm made of glass." Marcus was quiet for a moment. My wife always said that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, regardless of their circumstances. She sounds like she was a wonderful woman. She was. She would have loved Lily having this space to run and play. Isabella stopped walking. Do you think she would approve of us being here? Marcus considered the question carefully. I think she would be grateful that someone is helping me give Lily a better life. And I think she would like you. Really? Really? She always said she could judge people by how they treated children. You've been nothing but kind to Lily. It was true. Isabella had quickly become like a favorite aunt to Lily. She helped with homework, told stories, and even taught Lily how to braid friendship bracelets by touch. The little girl adored her. 3 months into their new arrangement, Marcus realized he was falling in love with Isabella. It started with small things: the way she hummed while cooking, the sound of her laughter when Lily told jokes, the graceful way she moved through her house. But it was more than that. Isabella was brilliant, running her late father's company with skill and determination. She was generous without being patronizing, kind without being weak. She had overcome tremendous challenges and built a successful life despite her disability. Marcus. Isabella's voice interrupted his thoughts one evening as they sat on her back patio while Lily practiced piano inside. Yes. Can I ask you something personal? Of course. Do you ever think about dating again? Finding someone for you and Lily? Marcus felt his heart speed up. Sometimes. Why do you ask? Isabella was quiet for a long moment, her hands folded in her lap. I wonder if anyone would ever want to be with someone like me. Someone who can't see their face, can't drive them places, can't do normal couple things. Marcus moved his chair closer to hers. Isabella, you're one of the most amazing women I've ever met. Any man would be lucky to be with you. Even with my blindness? Your blindness isn't a flaw that needs to be overlooked. It's just part of who you are. And who you are is incredible. Isabella turned toward his voice. Do you really mean that? Instead of answering with words, Marcus reached out and gently took her hand. Isabella's breath caught at the contact. I more than mean it, Marcus said softly. Isabella, I've been wanting to tell you something for weeks now. What? I'm falling in love with you. Isabella's eyes filled with tears. Really? Even though I can't see you? Marcus brought her hand to his face, letting her fingers trace his features the way she had that first night. You see me better than anyone else ever has. You see my heart, my character, who I really am inside. That's more important than physical sight. Isabella's fingers mapped the planes of his face. His strong jaw, the small scar above his eyebrow from a childhood accident, the laugh lines around his eyes. I love you too, she whispered. I've been afraid to say it because I thought you might be staying out of obligation or gratitude. Never, Marcus said firmly. I stay because this feels like home. You and Lily and this life we've built together, it feels like the family I always dreamed of. Isabella leaned forward and kissed him softly. It was gentle and sweet, full of hope and promise. When they broke apart, Isabella smiled through her tears. What happens now? Now we see where this goes. We take it slow, include Lily in our decisions, and build something beautiful together. As if summoned by their conversation, Lily came running out to the patio. Daddy? Isabella. Listen to this song I learned. She began playing a simple melody on her small keyboard, and Marcus and Isabella listened with their hands still intertwined. She's got real talent, Isabella said proudly. She gets that from her mother, Marcus replied. Sarah was musical too. I'd like to get her a real piano, Isabella said. If that's okay with you. Marcus squeezed her hand. That's very generous. But you don't need to buy Lily's affection. She already loves you. I know. I want to get it because music should be nurtured, and she deserves to have the tools to explore her talent. 6 months later, Marcus and Isabella were inseparable. Their relationship had deepened into something solid and lasting, built on mutual respect, shared values, and genuine affection. Lily had embraced Isabella as a second mother, and the three of them had become a real family. Isabella, Marcus said one evening as they tucked Lily into bed together, I have something to ask you. Isabella smiled as she smoothed the blankets around Lily. What's that? Not here, Marcus said, glancing meaningfully at his daughter. Later. After Lily was asleep, Marcus led Isabella out to the garden where they had shared their first kiss. He had been planning this moment for weeks, and his heart was beating rapidly with nervous excitement. Isabella, he began, taking her hands in his, this past year has been the happiest of my life. Mine too, she said softly. You took us in when we needed help, but you gave us so much more than just a job and a place to live. You gave us love, stability, and hope for the future. Isabella felt tears starting to form in her eyes. Marcus. Let me finish, he said gently. You've been the most incredible mother figure to Lily. You've helped me become a better man. You've shown me what it means to love someone completely, not despite their challenges but because of their strength in overcoming them. Marcus let go of her hands for a moment, and Isabella heard the rustle of movement as he knelt down in front of her. Isabella Hartley, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion, will you marry me? Isabella's hands flew to her mouth as tears streamed down her face. Oh my God. Marcus. Yes. Yes, of course I'll marry you. Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger, then stood to kiss her deeply. They held each other in the garden where their love had bloomed, both crying happy tears. I love you so much, Isabella whispered against his lips. I love you too. You're the light in my darkness, just like I hope I've been the light in yours. Isabella pulled back to touch his face. You've been. Before you came into my life, I was living in darkness even though I'd learned to function in it. You brought joy and laughter and love. You brought Lily. You brought hope. Daddy? Isabella? Lily's sleepy voice came from the patio door. Why are you crying? Marcus and Isabella turned toward the sound of Lily's voice, both laughing through their tears. Come here, princess, Marcus called. We have something to tell you. Lily ran to them in her pajamas, and Marcus scooped her up with one arm while keeping the other around Isabella. Isabella and I are going to get married, Marcus announced. How do you feel about that? Lily's eyes went wide. Really? Isabella's going to be my new mom? If you'd like that, Isabella said gently. I would love that. Lily threw her arms around Isabella's neck. I've been wishing for a mom, and you're the best one I could ask for. The wedding took place 6 months later in Isabella's garden, surrounded by friends and family. Lily served as maid of honor, helping guide Isabella down the aisle with practiced ease. Isabella wore a simple white dress and carried white roses from her own garden. As they exchanged vows, Marcus marveled at the journey that had brought them to this moment. A split-second decision to protect a stranger had led to the greatest love of his life and a mother for his daughter. I promise to be your eyes when you need them, Marcus said during his vows, and to trust your vision when you see things more clearly than I do. I promise to love you not despite your blindness, but as part of the incredible woman you are. Isabella's vows were equally heartfelt. I promise to see you with my heart every day for the rest of our lives. I promise to be the mother Lily deserves and the wife you need. I promise to love both of you with everything I have. When they were pronounced husband and wife, their kiss was witnessed by everyone who mattered to them. Lily cheered the loudest, and even Maria, Isabella's usually stoic housekeeper, was wiping away tears. 2 years later, the Rivera family had grown by one. Isabella sat in the nursery holding their 6-month-old son, David, while Marcus read bedtime stories to 11-year-old Lily in the next room. Tell me about Daddy again, Isabella said softly to the baby, though she was really talking to herself. Tell me about how he saved my life and then gave me the most beautiful life I could ever imagine. Baby David cooed and grabbed at Isabella's finger with his tiny hand. You look just like him, you know, Isabella continued. At least that's what everyone tells me. But you feel like him too. Strong and gentle and perfect. Marcus appeared in the doorway, having finished Lily's story. How are my 2 favorite guys? Sleepy, Isabella said with a smile. I think someone is ready for his crib. As they put David down for the night, Marcus watched his wife's gentle, practiced movements. She had taken to motherhood naturally, caring for their son with the same intuitive grace she brought to everything else. What are you thinking about? Isabella asked, sensing his gaze. Just counting my blessings, Marcus replied. 3 years ago, I was a single father barely making ends meet. Now I have a wife I adore, 2 beautiful children, and a life I never dreamed possible. Isabella moved into his arms. 3 years ago, I was a lonely woman living in darkness, surrounded by people who saw my disability before they saw me. Now I have a husband who loves me, a daughter who fills my days with laughter, and a son who will grow up knowing that love comes in all forms. They stood in their son's nursery, holding each other and listening to the quiet sounds of their family settling in for the night. Down the hall, Lily was probably reading under her covers with a flashlight, a habit they pretended not to know about. Marcus, Isabella said softly. Do you remember what you said that first night in the hospital? When I asked why you saved me. I said it was the right thing to do. Isabella smiled. It was more than the right thing to do. It was the moment that brought us together. The moment that gave us this family, this life, this love. Marcus kissed the top of his wife's head. You know what I realized? What? I didn't just save you that night. You saved me too. You saved both Lily and me from a life of struggling and uncertainty. You gave us a home, a family, a future. Isabella looked up at him with her unseeing eyes that somehow saw straight into his soul. We saved each other. As they walked hand in hand to their own bedroom, Marcus reflected on the incredible chain of events that had led them here. One moment of courage, one decision to put a stranger's safety before his own, had resulted in a love story more beautiful than anything he could have imagined. The blind millionaire who had needed someone to be her eyes had instead become the light that illuminated his entire world. And the single father who had risked everything to protect her had found not just love, but the family of his dreams. In the darkness of their bedroom, Isabella traced the familiar features of her husband's face with gentle fingers. I love you, Marcus Rivera. I love you too, Isabella Rivera. You are the light in my darkness today and always. The bullet that had started their story was long forgotten, but the love it had created would burn bright for the rest of their lives, a beacon of hope that proved sometimes the most beautiful lights shine brightest in the darkest moments. Their love story had begun with an act of heroism and bloomed into something that would last forever. Proof that when two people are meant to be together, they will always find their way to each other, even in the darkness.